Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with this channel or are watching this channel for the first time, what we do here is that we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So, for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also have another channel called Latina Diaspora where I discuss issues regarding Latinos in the United States. The link to that channel is in the description. I want to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, the subscriber mode has been enabled for the first 5 minutes, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you may need to be a subscriber for at least 5 minutes into the stream. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media. Um, Also, those who allow me to enter into your devices, and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, so tonight is part two of the series regarding being a content creator. Last night I just discussed some of the pitfalls of being a content creator. Tonight I'm going to talk about the positive elements. Now, before we get into the topic, we're going to have another episode of In My Words. Now, in your time as a content creator, you might be tempted to speak with some people offline um, to talk about things, maybe common interests or things of that nature. What I would recommend that you be very selective regarding who you do decide to speak with offline. And when I mean offline, in other words, away from StreamYard, okay. And I'm going to tell you why. You may interact with large numbers of people, but I think what you're going to find is that there's really like a select group of people, of content creators who are genuine as far as their support for you, genuine regarding giving you constructive criticism, and will not share your information with others or use your information against you. I interact with several content creators, but as far as like actually speaking with an offline, it's a very select few. And it's only those that I have vetted through time, and then they have demonstrated that they are true supporters. They have demonstrated that they're not going to betray me. They're not going to share anything or divulge anything um, secret. And you have to be very selective, okay? Because not everyone is going to support you wholeheartedly. There are certain people that only support you for a while it's for their benefit. And then once it's no longer to their benefit, they'll no longer support you. I've learned that the hard way. Okay. So just be mindful as as creators who you're going to interact outside. Just be very selective and vet them properly. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, this is a situation where there have been um, mixers set up by different individuals for the whole purposes of trying to meet um, of the opposite sex. And what's been happening is that most of these mixers are attended by women, and very few men actually attend these events. And there are multiple reasons. Okay. Now, let me just state this for the record. I'm not saying all women are guilty of this. Some are. But when you have a situation, when you have some women actually said that if they had a chance to, to be with a man or be with the bear, they chose the bear. That's not a positive, reaction that men's gonna receive. And part of the problem is, and again, let me make this perfectly clear: some women have outrageous expectations regarding what their man should be. I mean, they expect a man to be perfect. They expect the man to have a six pack, make a six-figure salary, and cater to them without even considering what the man wants. And again, there are men that have outrageous expectations regarding the opposite sex as well. Okay. And when you approach some of these ladies, their response is, well, these are the days of our grandmothers and our mothers. These are today. Well, you know what? Just like this is not the day of your mothers, your grandmothers, but it's not the day of your fathers as well. And I think it's very hypocritical to expect men to play the traditional male role when women are not in the position, willing to play the traditional feminine role. Now, I would not classify myself as manosphere, okay? But I do believe that both sexes need to play their respective traditional roles. And what has happened as a result of that's happening, um, it has made the dating very toxic. And unfortunately, you have the situation where you have people being raised by single parents, mostly single women, and while single, there are single moms that have done a great job raising their children. There are other single moms that have not done a great job. Um, but I truly believe if we as men want women to follow our lead and be traditional women, we need to show that we need to demonstrate that yes, we can be trustworthy. Yes, we can be faithful. Yes, we can be traditional males. Okay, yes, we can be monogamous. Okay. In other words, we have to give women a reason why for them to follow our leads. Women are not stupid, men are not stupid. Okay. So hopefully at some point people will start to realize that, you know what, they need to ease up on their expectations regarding dating. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to have a situation when you're going to have adults in both sexes grow old because they refuse to settle. Now, I'm just going to come up briefly. Okay. As you can see here tonight, I'm using a headset of headphones, what I just purchased today, um, to try, to make it hear a little bit better. Okay. So, you got to do what you can. to try to make your content better. Now I'm gonna calm down. Now the last thing that I want to talk about is that before we get into the main topic is the fact that you, as a content creator, you need to have realistic expectations regarding yourself and regarding your content. Okay, and one thing to bear in mind: it is a slow process. One thing, and I use the analogy that this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. It takes time to develop a following, it takes time to develop a base. Okay. And even if you get to the point when you get monetized, don't expect to be making a huge amount of money unless you are a content creator with hundreds of thousands of subs and you have cash apps and people hitting you up with donations or things of that nature. With me, what I do is a labor of love. Okay. And I think by next year, uh, I should reach 1,000 subs. Of course, the big issue is trying to get the watch time. But nevertheless, I will continue to be the best version of myself. And as long as your expectations are not way out there, um, you're going to find that you're going to be successful as a content creator. Now, with that being said, we're going to get into the main topic. Now, before I continue, let me just state for the record that uh, the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine, let me just lower the volume, opine regarding the topic in hand, they can do so. As always, and let me make this perfectly clear. If I've never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that no one tries to flash anything inappropriate, which would cause the people of YouTube to take down their stream. Once I made the determination that you're not going to flash any genitalia, that you're going to abide by my guidelines, you will be allowed on the panel. And as always, whether you decide to cam up or not cam up, that I leave to your discretion. Okay? Because I understand not everyone wishes to cam up for multiple reasons. So, with that being said, there are some positive attributes of being a content creator. First of all, it's an opportunity to share your knowledge, to share your expertise if you have any, and also it's an opportunity to interact with other individuals, whether they be contact creators, uh, or maybe just people who are visiting your chat. Okay. Another thing that's positive is it's an interaction. Okay. You're sharing your views, and then the other individuals are sharing their views as well. Now, one thing, and I made this perfectly clear from the very beginning. This is not an echo chamber here. People are allowed to express their views as they see fit. And there's going to be times that we're not going to always agree. That's not a problem. Okay. As long as we are able to be agreeable when we disagree. And yes, we can learn from each other in disagreements. Okay. In fact, I'll be perfectly honest. I think it was about 4+ years ago that there was a situation where I met a content creator through a disagreement. Okay. This individual was expressing a particular point of view, which I did not share. Now, unlike certain individuals that whenever they hear an opposing viewpoint, they get emotional and they respond by lashing out. I just simply state that I have a disagreement, and I stated why. However, I allowed the content creator to express her point of view. And at the end, I went, you know what? While I may not fully agree with this individual, it does have some merit. Okay. So I decided when I started creating content as a serious content creator, there were certain principles which I have been following. First of all, trying to create a space where people can express their views as they see fit, with the understanding that we are going to be mutually respectable. Number one. Number two, that this was not going to be an echo chamber. Okay. And that there's going to be a free interchange of knowledge, a free interchange of information, and a free interchange of views. That's been one of the guiding principles of this channel for the last 4 years. And for me, this is a labor of love, okay? Because I am not earning a penny off of this. Fortunately, I don't need to do that because I have my own job with my employer, so I don't have to depend on money from YouTube. Nor do I need to depend on cash apps. I think um, I've received only one cash app of donation, and this is fine because look, I don't require people to submit a donation. If they wish to donate, that's perfectly fine. I mean, as long as they consume my content, that's the main thing. Good evening, Abel Charles. Thank you very much for stopping by. So tonight, I'm talking about the positive attributes of being a content creator. Okay, and of course, April Showers has her channel, so I'm gonna ask that if you have not done so, please check out her content. Okay, as a fellow baby boomer, okay, and there's not too many of us here in these YouTube streets. And actually, okay, and I see here we have a guest. So let me just state for the record that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image. Some of the views people hold may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. Good evening.
Hey, Jose. Thanks
How you
for
doing
coming
tonight?
to my show. Earlier, I got a little emotional because I did not realize that this homeless situation was as bad as what it is. But the positive of being a content creator is I get to meet nice people like you, where we all have the same concerns, regardless of race, color, creed, political, or religious background. We are all human beings and we just have the same concerns. We want the world to be safe. We want peace, joy, and happiness. And then I'm able to come over here and be respected and the same when you come to my channel.
Hmm. Yes. Well,
Yeah.
as I was alluding to, there are certain principles that I have established when I started creating content. First of all, everybody's views are important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everyone is given an opportunity to freely express their point of views, with the only stipulation that we be mutually respectable. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
here this is not a echo chamber. People are free to express opposing viewpoints. Again, as long as they are mutually respectable. And with me, this is a labor of love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And of course, another thing that's a positive is you get to talk on multiple topics. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, yes. Go ahead.
Well, that's why I say, you know, we can talk about multiple subjects and we realize that we all want the same thing. You know, uh, I met I met some great people. I met people that have opened my eyes. You know, of my mindset about certain things. You know, and so I'm forever
Hmm.
grateful. I look at the world not through my eyes, but through everybody's eyes now. Well,
Hmm.
I always have, but I look at them more because I realize that everybody is somebody. Everybody matters. Everybody's opinions, and but we really aren't that different. Everybody just wants housing, clothing, and shelter, and be able to take a few vacations a year. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mhm.
And the positive
I
thing
mean,
about being a
in my
content creator,
what you guys has have to do with mental health issues, because some people are very reluctant to talk about mental health issues, because it really in our as far as our generation is concerned, we were taught just to tough it off. And if we were to publicly, or we would, state that we have a mental health issue, uh, we were told just to snap out of it. It, so it took a while, um, for people, particularly people of our generation, to acknowledge that it's okay to seek mental help from a mental health expert. And because we are all dealing with multiple issues, particularly as we grow older. Okay, and of course, what happens as we grow older, More we lose more and more members of our family. Our friends become distant, and sometimes we could, we can enter in the senior years being alone.
Hmm.
Mhm. And
Yeah, and that is so true because in my time growing up, you just prayed about everything, you know. Oh, we're gonna pray, but you need more than prayer, you know. So the positive of being a content creator is you get to be able to tell people that everybody ain't wrapped too tight and there are such things as chemical imbalances and that you can get medication and be properly treated for your mental illness. And especially women, we go through so much with our bodies with hormones. And so people don't have to feel alone, ashamed, you know. Uh, the other positive of being a content creator is like for me, you know, when I had my breast removed, I tell that story. I just had little plums and then I had them removed. And I went through something, but I knew I would not get implants. I knew I was not going to get any bras. I just said, I'm just gonna wear mine. I'm not going to get bras and stuff. It is what it is. I'm comfortable with me.
mhm, yeah. I mean, and actually, another thing that's a positive, that you can use your platform to encourage others. Okay, like for example, leading up to my revised knee replacement, I shared my story because I wanted to encourage others that was dealing with the same physical limitations as I was. That yes, it's something to be concerned about. However, it can be treated, and you just have to be mindful of what you need to do in order to improve your mobility issues. Good evening, Fanny. Thank you very much for stopping by.
Yes. And you know, I have gotten up some mornings and after I had thanking the good Lord for waking me up, and I've gotten on YouTube and I get some people giving some good motivation for the day. And so
Hmm.
the positive of being a content creator is sometimes you don't realize how you have helped somebody to get up and get motivated and make it through the day, even if it's just one person. Even that person, when you are just talking about walking, sharing your experiences, um, you have helped somebody. You don't even know the impact because I know the impact some days of getting on YouTube and just listening to some people tell their stories or what they've been through or anything. And it has helped me. I've seen some great people that have partnership together, and they're all having decent, intelligent conversations, letting everybody speak. And so some people are reaching people and they don't even realize it by telling their story, because
Hmm.
some people have really helped me. And I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay. Now, one of the topics that I did address, and I was happy to address, was dealing with the myths regarding Black women. Okay? Because unfortunately, you have certain individuals that have a poor image regarding Black women, something that is based on what's been demonstrated in social media. Okay, but one thing I maintain: there is good and there is bad in every community. Okay, and one thing we have to bear and one thing we have to bear in mind, and some people need to be mindful of this, that when it comes to the African American community, okay, their ancestors did not come to this country voluntarily. Okay, they were forced to come over here. They were deprived of their culture. They were deprived of their identity. They was deprived of everything that made them unique and wonderful. They were forced um, to work as as slaves. The women was essayed, and this is
Hmm.
something that this is something that they endured for 250 years. And then after that, you have to deal with segregation. So the
Hmm.
African American community had to create their own culture, their own businesses, their own experiences, and things of that nature. And one thing I do admire regarding the African American community is their resiliency. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, I think it's nice. I wish everybody was like you and realized that we did build this country. And we are owed reparations. Patents were stolen. Everything. We invented it, but the patents were stolen. We have no generational wealth, no recognition.
Okay. It looks like we just lost April. Hopefully, she will, she will come back. But I mean, that's a good thing about when you are a content creator, you decide what topics um that you wish to discuss. Now, people were saying to me, why you as a Latino care about the African American community? I care because, first of all, a lot of the issues that they face, my community has faced them as well. Okay, so that's the reason why I care, even though I don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is, it goes without saying, the African American community has shown a great deal of resiliency, and they have been able uh, to create their own culture, their own history. Okay, and there's been a lot of achievements that they have made. Okay.
Oh, I hate when StreamYard does this. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it be StreamYard or the internet. They get to dropping me. Okay, but I was still
Uh,
listening.
sometimes I think, yeah, sometimes I think it's both.
Okay.
Yeah, believe me, I
Did
have
you
had
hear what
issues.
I
I
was
had issues.
saying when I said that I appreciate you recognizing the fact that we did build this country, giving us
Yes,
our respect?
that's true.
Okay. And if a lot of people would do that, but they won't, Jose. They want, they're trying to whitewash our history. As I say, you have President Donald Trump talking about the Smithsonian Museum, trying to say slavery was not that bad. Yes, slavery was bad. Every invention was ours. Our patents were stolen. You know, we have no generational wealth. We have no say so in nothing, but we built this country. Hell, the White House was built by slaves. But it is what it is. The only
Yes,
thing right now is I might not see it, you know, but America will never, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, they would never admit to the fact and give us reparations. Because that would mean, they got to acknowledge they stole everything from us. You brought us over here. We built the country. You stole all of our invention and patents. We have no generational wealth.
well, I
But
don't
I
think
can't.
we're going to see.
Hmm?
Sorry, I
I'm
don't think
sorry.
we're going to see reparations being. Okay, I don't think we're going to see reparations being paid in our lifetime. Okay, first of all, I think. Okay, first of all, first of all, the politicians has got to be get behind it um, to make it a reality. I mean, I don't see that happening anytime in the near future. Okay, first of all, these are the issues that have to be addressed. Number one, you have to identify the victims, or in this case, the descendants of the victims. Number one. Number two, try to come up with, and I use the term loosely, adequate compensation for the reparations. Okay. Number three, how are they going to be paid off? How, I mean, would that be in lump sums, or would that be during a number of years, or would that be in trade? And then the final issue would be the litigation involved, because there will be litigation involved. First of all, you're going to have litigation from those that were excluded, that felt they should have been included. There's going to be litigation regarding why we need to pay these reparations. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is the attorneys are going to end up making a lot, getting a lot of this money. So what will happen is a lot of the reparations that should have gone to the descendants of the victims will end up going into attorney's hands. Your thoughts?
Okay. First of all, There was field order, I think it's 150. It was actually a law where slaves were supposed to get what we call as the 1 acre and a mule to start. When they assassinated Abraham Lincoln, Lyndon B. Johnson reneged on that. He changed that. So that's what slaves, when Abraham Lincoln freed them, that's what they were promised. So they would be able to get their own start. That never happened. So they could even go back to that. Nobody thought, and Martin Luther King, great. He wanted us to integrate, but he should have been saying, my people was promised this. They never got this. Give us ours. But it was it was field order I think it's 150, where slaves were going to receive 1 acre and a mule. And that was by President Abraham Lincoln. And when they assassinated him, probably for doing that, Lyndon B. Johnson vetoed that. Said, we ain't giving them people nothing. Because Abraham Lincoln had sent, I think his name was Sherman, to see how can he help these slaves once they were free. Because they knew they would not know what to do. And so there was a field order, I believe 150 or 156. You could look it up, where slaves were promised 40 up to 40 acres and a mule. And we never got that.
Now, when it comes to 40 acres in a mule, that would be paid in 1865 dollars. Okay, so that's 160 years ago. So you figure, if you put it in today's dollars, I mean, it could be what, 20 mules and 2,000 acres. I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating.
It would be a lot of money that they would have to give us. Yes.
And not only that, you have to take into account the interest of over over 160 years.
Yep. Everybody else has
So
gotten paid from the United States government. The Germans, the Jews, the Indians, everybody. Being on the train, they stole jewelry. Every other culture has gotten paid, but the black people.
yep. So when I hear people talking about, well, they need to get over it. Okay, they don't understand the history of this country. Okay, because at one time a black person was considered 3/5 of a human being. Okay,
Oh,
and this
hallelujah,
country
you
has
know
had
that too. Yeah.
okay, and this country has had a long history of not dealing with people who are different very well. I mean, we can talk about the African American community, we can talk about the indigenous people, we can talk about the Irish when they came over to this country, we can talk about the Japanese that was in internment camps. That we can go on and on and on. This country has had a poor history of dealing with people who are different. And the good thing is that it could be discussed on a platform like this one or yours or anybody else's.
Oh yeah, I'll be glad to set up a show. It would be no problem to me because, like I said, everybody else has gotten paid. Why us? Why have you done everything to stop us from trying to succeed in this country? And we built this country. You stole our patents. Everything was all the inventions, everything from sewing machines to everything was by black slaves. But the slave owners took the patents, had it patent, and they're the ones that made the money.
Yeah. And of course, the question that some people are asking, why should I care? I'm a Latino. This has nothing to do with me. Okay, I care because a lot of the issues that the African American community has dealt with, Latinos have dealt with it well. Okay, they have dealt issues with discrimination. They have dealt with issues
Hmm.
with segregation. They have dealt with, you know, being hated on simply because of the color of their skin, or in our case, some of us because of the color of our skin or the language that we speak.
But wait a minute, Jose. We could take it further than that. California, what was it? California, Texas, Arizona. Those were really your states. America stole them. So when people say they're coming over the border illegally, some people can say, no, this was, the United States stole these countries from Mexico.
We can go on and on and on. But I don't want to. I want to focus
Yeah,
on the positive attributes, which is one thing
yeah.
is that you have full discretion regarding what you wish to discuss. You decide. Okay, you as a content creator, you decide the topics. You decide
Hmm.
what will be the parameters. You decide what will be the guidelines that everybody has to follow. Okay, and you also um, decide what will be the consequences of those who do not abide by your guidelines, because your platform is your cyber home. Okay, and the
Hmm.
fact of the matter is, each content creator has full discretion on how to regulate who enter their cyber home and under what conditions.
Well, you know, me, I don't, the positive side of being a content creator is if you come into my shows the same way in my real life, I don't allow anybody to be disrespected in my presence, and everybody means somebody. And the same way when people come to my channel, if you're disrespectful to the guest or anybody, you're blocked. I'm just not gonna tolerate it. I'm not. If I say once no disrespect and you do it again, you're blocked and don't come back because you showed me what you
Yeah,
were about.
yeah.
And so I stayed pretty much there on my channel. If I tell everybody, if you disrespect the host when they come up and you don't
not only not only do you decide what happens if they disrespect the host, but if they disrespect anyone on the panel or the chat. Because for me, the chat is an extension of the panel. Okay? And one thing I would never allow people to be disrespectful to anyone on the panel or the chat. Okay, maybe April stepped out for a moment, but
Okay, wait a minute. Do you hear me now? I am so
yes, I hear you.
sorry. Okay, and what I was saying is, you're right. Nobody should be disrespected. And I'm not going to go back and forth with anybody about the rules of my channel. If I made it clear, that's what it is. As I do in my personal life, I do it on my channel. And I just don't allow the disrespect of anybody. You know, I think that speaks. I'm not with beefs. You know, I don't care what's going on anybody else's channel. I'm not with the beefing. I'm not with the doxing. Don't put me on part of it, because my response ain't gonna be what none of y'all like. But pretty much everybody knows me. They know I ain't on that BS. I have been called plenty of names, Jose. I have been told that I was some old bitter woman who had nothing else better to do to be on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, I'm old, but I ain't bitter. Because I'm thankful the good Lord left me on this earth to get on YouTube and talk my stuff and hopefully help somebody. And I'm learning. I learn something every day on YouTube. And I'm going to mute my mic.
Yeah. Good evening. I got golly. Yeah, yeah. I don't have a lot of rules, but everyone that wishes to hop on will either abide by them or they will be removed. It is that simple. And I'm the same person regardless who I speak with, whether it will be someone from from the outside or whether it be a politician. I am the same way. I do not change who my demeanor. I do not change how I express myself. I am the same way. It's up to you whether you like me that way or don't like me like that. But if you don't like me that this way, I'm not the one with the issue. You are.
Let me tell you something, Jose. A lot of people are intimidated by the positive of being an older content creator because you have lived life, you have seen it, and you can tell about it. And some of them, they better hope that they live to see 63. They better hope they live to see our age group. Okay. And some of them don't like the fact that you're speaking wisdom and knowledge and you're actually trying to help somebody. Like I said, every day, you don't know who you might reach or help when you tell your story. People seeing you down there at the King Center might inspire somebody else to go visit the King Center. So, the positive of being a content creator, an older content creator, is you get to share your knowledge and wealth, and you will be surprised at the younger folks that's really listening to you. They'll never admit it, but they are. They're in the bushes, they're listening. I know.
Well, one thing I have noticed, and this has been constant for a long time. Most of the people that watch my content are basically millennials and Gen Z people, which is basically anyone from 18 to 44 years old. So when I saw that the first time, it's like they're actually listening to this old fart speak. Okay, but it's true. I mean, when you speak with wisdom, with a certain amount of intelligence, with integrity, people are going to gravitate towards it.
And again, the positive of being a content creator is you're reaching a younger generation, and you can tell them the stories of, you know, how the family used to be close, how we need to bond together, how we need to heal. You know, people are listening. Some people, that, they don't have the relationships with their parents, so they're listening to your show, and it makes them understand their parents. Because, a lot of people want to blame their parents, but then they come to your show or my show, because I've had people to tell me this, and I'll say, you learn to respect your parents. They did the best with what they knew how to do, with the knowledge and the training that they had. So we are helping younger people to be more respectful, to understand the struggles that their parents probably couldn't talk to them about, but letting them know they did the best that they could. I had a guy that went so far as to send me a letter one time, and he said, when you say that your parents did the best thing, he was saying, his father had passed, and his mother did the best that she could do to raise him. And he said he finally realized that his mother, with losing her dad, like, she was never the same. And, she did the best she could, but he was able to understand her struggles just from listening to one of my shows. And so the younger people are listening to us, Jose. So that's what I take, and I say I'm doing something good. And I'm going to have to get off this panel, because in the morning we have school that's starting here, and I am part of a group of ladies uh, in the ministry. We will be going to a junior high school in the morning, and I will be streaming live to let everybody know. We'll be welcoming back junior high school students, greeting them at the door, and praying for them to have a great school year. And so I've got to
Okay.
go and go to bed now. I've got to take me a sleeping pill because other than that, I would be up. But I've got to be up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So thanks for letting me speak, Jose.
Well, thank you for sharing. You're more than always welcome here on this platform.
Oh, I know. And I'll be sharing tomorrow morning. I will be at Dirksen Junior High School here in Joliet, Illinois. And we will be, just greeting students as they come and just wishing them a great school year. Thank you.
Okay.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Have a good night, April. Thank you for stopping by. Now, there's a few other things that are positive attributes of being a content creator. Sometimes you can link up with another content creator and both share reviews on similar topics. Now, this is something that has occurred on numerous occasions on this platform. Okay, because it's one thing when you share your knowledge, you share your experience, but when you have on a person who's like a co-host, and that person's able to share their insights, I mean, it's doubly educational. Okay, so these are things that and these are things that content creators can do. And of course, and I must say this again, you as a content creator, you have full discretion on what type of content you want to create. You can decide to do nothing but shorts. You can decide to do nothing but lives. You can decide to do both or whatever. You can also decide to pre-record your content. That's the beauty part of being a content creator. You decide, okay? You decide the content. You decide who gets on your panel. You decide how things are done, okay? Because your platform is an extension of who you are, okay? And sometimes as content creators, we don't recognize that, we don't fully appreciate that, okay? And another thing we have to bear in mind, when we enter another person's platform, we have to abide by the rules and the guidelines that content creator has created. Okay. If the content creator allows you to be on the platform for a certain time period, make sure that you respect that and you don't overextend your stay. Also, if there's a particular topic that they're discussing, do your best to stay on topic. Okay. Now, there's certain times that other content creators will share content, and I will not join the panel because my knowledge on the topic at hand is limited. So instead of opining regarding something which I really don't know, what I would do is I would just listen to what's being said, and then as I gain knowledge, I may share a point here or a point there. Okay, because I don't believe in speculation. I believe in facts. And I remember it was almost 3 years ago where where someone that was on the panel had expressed a belief that the COVID-19 pandemic was over. I respectfully disagreed. So what we did was we had a mature conversation regarding what we believe. We both presented our facts. And after that was done, I arrived at the conclusion that I was wrong and the other person was correct. Okay. So I did not let my ego um, to dictate how I perceive information. Okay. I was able to discuss my hypothesis in a mature way. Unfortunately, we're living in a day and age where not everyone is able to respectfully discuss their issues without getting emotional. Okay. Now, one thing to bear in mind that as a content creator, there is a great deal of responsibility involved. But there's a lot of blessings attached to it as well. The blessings is you share your knowledge, you share your experiences, you share information, and that you also receive information from participants who will hit the link and join the panel. Okay? And there's a free interchange of information. There's a free interchange of knowledge. There's a free interchange of facts. Because this is not an echo chamber here. Everyone does have the opportunity to express their point of views and opine regarding the topic in hand. And that's again, these are the positive qualities, positive attributes of being a content creator. And I have to say that in my 4 years as a serious content creator, I have been blessed by the good people that had visited the panel or the chat. A lot of them, unfortunately, I do miss because I haven't been on this platform for a considerable time. But I recognize that, not everyone has the time to invest to opine on a panel or opine in the chat. People have responsibilities. People have other things. People have lives outside of YouTube. So therefore, when people don't visit this platform, I don't take it personally. I just simply accept the fact that, okay, they may not have the opportunity to catch it live, but maybe they'll catch it on the playback. Okay? And it might be weeks before they catch it on playback, or even months. So I am not overly concerned when people don't visit the panel or the chat. I'm just going to continue to be the best version of myself. I'm going to continue to create content that hopefully you will enjoy, where you will get knowledge and or at least give you something to think about. And a huge shout out to the 7 people watching the stream. Um, Please hit the like button if you can. It doesn't cost you anything, and it does help with the algorithm. So, one more thing that I'm going to say is a positive attribute as a content creator is that you will be inspired um, to discuss topics that other content creators have not addressed. So, in some occasions, you might be the first one to address it. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now, I have been talking for over an hour. Okay, so I don't know if anyone else wishes to hit the link and opine. If they wish, that's fine. If they don't, that's also fine. Okay. Um, because believe me, I do understand people have lives. So I decided to have this two-part series, first dealing with the negative aspects of being a content creator and the positive aspects, so that people will have a clear understanding what it is to be a content creator and a clear understanding that as far as your expectations are concerned. Okay. And in all fairness, well, I believe what the day will come when I'll be monetized. I don't expect to make a huge amount of money. Okay. Unless I have a huge following, say hundreds of thousands of subs, and a good portion then sending cash apps or you know things of donations. With me, this is a labor of love. It has been a labor of love, and it will continue to be a labor of love. So, with that being said, I think at this point, I will start to wrap this up. So, the whole purpose of this two-part series is to help you to have a realistic understanding what it is to be a content creator. Deal with the pitfalls as far as deal with the advantages. So hopefully, um, this information has been a blessing to you. So of course, the playback game, you're more than welcome to do your thing. Okay, and your comments are always appreciated. Just try to keep it respectable. Okay. Now I will be live on Thursday um, on my other channel. I think it's 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. I'm not sure. Um, where I'm going to be talking about some of the traditional, very interesting. And of course, I'm going to close the same way that I always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negro. It does, hopefully, you will have reasonable expectations as a content creator. So, with that being said, I wish all of you a wonderful good night. Take care, stay blessed, and peace.